We all have our demons.
Not enough pain.
What is up, YouTube? It's Kilrian, back with another video. Hopefully this recording of it works. Little inside baseball. I've had some issues getting this video to work. I don't know why. Hopefully it's better now. So, I am in a place that happens to have been very changed. As of tonight, when I'm recording this here, that's Thursday, December 14th, my guild has officially killed Argus on normal, which is not terribly exciting, but is exciting because it's the culmination of the raids in Legion. We're still doing Heroic. We're now 2 of 11 Heroic. Antorus High Command, we put in a couple of attempts tonight. That's an interesting fight. So here we are. I wanted to take a quick second to revisit the topic of Antorus because it's coming back around with Mythic now being full cleared by both Exorcist and Method. Method at World first, and then Exorcist about a day later this week. So we now know what happens on Mythic, or rather what doesn't happen on Mythic, because short of a couple of interventions from Sargeras kind of just vaguely empowering Argus, nothing really changes. We don't have an Archimon sort of twist of like off into the Twisting Nether or anything of that sort. They're just some pretty basic little tweaks. So with that out of the way, let's talk a little bit about my updated impressions of Antorus. Overall, I think the feedback I shared up front still holds pretty true. The raid is relatively easy all the way through. Argus is definitely a difficulty spike on normal. And from what I understand, on every difficulty, that's kind of how he functions. But even still, he isn't all that bad. Last week, when my guild first got to Argus, we put in a few solid attempts on him. But we got to phase 4 on our first try. So we got to the last phase without having to do a whole lot of bullshit. And it went pretty well. We almost got him down. So I think what's interesting to me about this tier is that in a similar vein to a lot of things Blizzard does, it kind of feels like an overcorrection to the problem. Like, Tomb of Sargeras was very difficult, and a lot of its difficulty came from the way mechanics awkwardly overlapped, and a lot of frustration with that came from the fact that a lot of the mechanics are very repetitive designs of move to this thing and soak it, which is okay, but doesn't really get anybody super excited about what's going on there. So Argus and Antorus as an entire raid really feels a bit like a correction from that, but a little too much. The pendulum swung too hard the other direction. Outside of that, though, I actually do really enjoy Antorus. I feel like the boss fights are still really varied and fresh. I like a lot of them. Particularly as a tank, I enjoy Agrimar and Argus because of the positional requirements. It's not often that tanks get to do a whole lot of like super active real-time movement gameplay in that way, where it's like you have to be very cognizant of the boss's positioning, but also you've got other shit to do as well. So I mean, I always found that really interesting. I'm really happy that the raid has stuff like that. Agrimar in particular is really good at that. The whole Taishalak technique combo is just awesome to tank on because there's a lot of pressure. It's really, I mean, it's overall, it's pretty easy, right? Like, it's not too difficult, but it's interesting. It's like this newer, fresher thing that you can do that's fun, and I really enjoyed that. Similarly with Argus and the scythe attacks and the death fog and all of that, there's a lot of really enjoyable mechanics there to sink your teeth into. As far as the visuals, my initial assessment still holds up. There's a lot of cool looking stuff in there, but the color palette is just too fucking much of the same old shit. It starts off and it's like Fell Green, Legion all the way through. Then you get to the Burning Throne portion, and it's like revisit Warlords of Draenor red, like hell, kind of like Blackrock Foundry, but a little more red and a little less like fiery orange. And then you go up to the Seat of the Pantheon for Argus, and that's a cool looking room. No complaints there. I like the blue. It's a nice visual breakup. I do feel like overall Legion did a lot better in that regard than I expected it to. The raids did feel pretty varied. Yes, almost every raid had some bit of green in it, but it wasn't always fel. And when it was like small bits of fel, the implementation made sense. So generally I was pretty happy with that, looking back on Legion raiding as a whole. But to stick to the topic of the video and talk about Antorus very specifically, I am disappointed the Mythic Argus encounter didn't really have any new lore. It didn't really add anything. I don't know why I'm disappointed in that, because it's probably for the best, given that when you put stuff in Mythic only, it tends to make people, including myself, feel like, you kind of miss out. So, on one hand, I'm actually happy that it's not like that, because I think that works out well. I think that's more interesting and fun that way, and there's something more you can engage with there. But at the same time, it would have been cool to see something interesting happen in Mythic only. And I mean, maybe there's some cool like voiceover cue or visual thing that we'll see when the top Mythic guilds start releasing their kill videos. So I mean, we do have that to look forward to, but I do feel a little disappointed. Early on, I'd kind of predicted that there would be something there. There really kind of wasn't. Sargeras doesn't give up dry humping Azeroth. He just kind of turns around real quick to give Argus a little something more to do in terms of like power and stuff he can do to you, and that's it. So it seems like the encounter has a lot of difficulty to it, but even still, from Method's wipe counts, it was only about half as difficult in terms of progression attempts as Kill Jaden Mythic. So I feel like that's probably about right. The number of wipes they got on Argus was a good number for a Mythic boss, and a pretty decent number for a Mythic end boss. Total number was around, if I remember right, it was around 320 or 340. So pretty darn close to about where you'd expect it to be. Overall, from my personal experience, to kind of gravitate back towards that, I really enjoyed normal Antorus. I don't feel like it'll be too rigorous to re-clear every week, and we're going to be re-clearing it on normal in my guild for a few weeks to try to get everybody, tier set bonuses and average item level floor increased a little bit. I'm already up to 945. I got a heroic trinket tonight. It's not a good heroic trinket. I'm still waiting on my Pantheon trinket, but for what it's worth, it's got stamina and verse, and it means I have almost 10 million health before doing more heroic. It barely feels better than Riftworld Codex, which was what I was using before from normal, so that's alright. But yeah, I'm actually really kind of excited to see how things shape up going forward now. 7.3.5 PTR is downloading on my computer now. I do expect to have some videos up and to start doing some leveling streams. I'm really excited to kind of get that stuff going again. I want to try out the new leveling. I want to kind of prepare for it because let's talk predictions for Battle for Azeroth real quick. I've said this on stream a couple times this week, but since I didn't stream tonight and I'm not streaming tomorrow, I feel like it's worth talking about. So, Battle for Azeroth now is on the horizon. Legion content is more or less done. We know that 7.3.5 brings the Legion epilogue, which involves this big red glowing sword and us making it not glow by using our artifact weapons to suck out the glow, which sounds dirty. But what we do know going forward is that the allied races, at least the 4 that we can theoretically unlock with current available content and not new continents or new zones, they appear to be fully implemented on PTR. They have like new UI screens for allied races, and those are implemented. It has checks for licenses to make sure you have Battle for Azeroth purchased, which will be important again in a second, and I'll talk about that. There are quest requirements, there are achievements linked to that stuff, and they get some additional coolness in their UI for customization, and just talking in general about what they get, because you won't have allied races until you're a more skilled player. So it makes sense to want to know some stuff up front, like what their mounts are, what their racial abilities are, all that. Where a new player generally probably won't need to know that. And, I mean, hopefully with the leveling changes, Blizzard does draw new players into the game. But to the point about Battle for Azeroth, I'm going to make a bold prediction. I've written about this. I had my video about this, especially, that was fairly popular last week, I want to say. It's been a while. It hasn't been a while. I just do a lot of videos, so there you go. But I do think that we're going to see Battle for Azeroth in early summer of 2018. I'm thinking end of June currently, as I said in that video. But what I think is about to happen is either in January or February, whenever 7.3.5 is ready to drop, we're also going to get a pre-order announcement for Battle for Azeroth. And I think that the incentive early on is going to be you make pre-order available after 7.3.5 is on live servers, either day and date, so it's released right away and battle pre-orders open up straight away, or maybe you delay it a week or whatever. But I think that we are about to see pre-orders open up, and I think that we're going to get an immediate pre-order bonus of being able to unlock allied races. It feels like that's going to happen. It feels like that's an easy way for Blizzard to pave over any potential content gaps if they run into something that's going to take a little longer to build or anything of that sort. It makes all the sense in the world to do that. So that's my prediction, is that when 7.3.5 goes live, we're going to have pre-orders. Now, as to when that's going to happen, it's probably got to be when Argus goes live for LFR players. So that is January 16th. Now, my speculation will be that we're probably going to get about a week. Actually, no. Oh, shit. I didn't even notice this before. Okay. I did prep for this video, I swear, but I just looked at this now, and Call of the Scarab starts on the 21st of January. Okay. I'm making the prediction now then. January 16th, we're going to see PTR, or not PTR, we're going to see 7.3.5 live. And that's going to bring about all the changes. That's going to bring about Red Dot instead of Big Argus for everybody, because you'll be able to do it on LFR. That's going to bring about the patch. We're going to get everything at that point, because some of the events that happen in the Wound and some of the quests and new rewards and stuff that are being added in 7.3.5 are only available during Call of the Scarab. So that would be a good time to probably do that. So I see that happening. I would say January 16th, we're getting 7.3.5. Will it happen the same morning? Yes. I would have probably said it would have been better to wait a week, let the LFR people go through, see the bosses, have fun, do that. And then, you would drop all the new content right after, once they've all had a chance to queue through and do it. But if Call of the Scarab is that weekend, then it's got to come out, 7.3.5's got to be out, because we need to be here in the Wound doing all those quests. So I think that's what's going to happen. January 16th, we're going to get 7.3.5. LFR players will be able to queue up and do Argus, regardless of whether they do or not. Argus in the sky is going away, and Silithus is going to look like this. And, well, it'll be the new, 7.3.5 yellow instead of this bright glowing red. So there's that. But that's going to be my prediction. I'm really stoked, actually, and I do think that with that then, on January 16th, we are going to probably see Battle for Azeroth pre-orders open up with a release window. I think they're going to do what they did with Legion, and they're going to give us this broad window of dates that it can open in that'll cover 3 months of time. Actually, no, what they did with Legion was they had an end date, didn't they? Yeah, so I think that's probably what we're going to see here again, is Battle for Azeroth will release by September 30th, 2018. And that'll be their disclaimer for the pre-order. So then you go in, you do your pre-order, and oh hey, as a bonus, now that you have a Battle for Azeroth license on your Battle.net account, technically, we can now give you access to allied races. And we know that the Zandalari and the Dark Iron are going to require access to the new continents. Dark Iron, I'm not quite sure why or how, but they've said that that's going to be the case, so that's fine. Don't need them right now. But I do think that it'll be interesting to see the Zandalari, obviously, you know, if you're Horde, you're going there, so that makes sense. Interested to see how the Dark Iron plays out. But I think that we're going to see the first 4, the ones that are implemented in 7.3.5, go live with pre-orders, and if you pre-order, you'll have access to them. Because all we know is that you need an achievement and that you need a Battle for Azeroth license, and a pre-order would fit that perfectly. So you pre-order, you get the license on your account, that unlocks the ability to go do the quest. It's available straight away because it fits the evolving world concept that Ian's kind of aiming for as game director. Like, you always log on and there's something new or change to do. And, I mean, sure, yeah, you could hold the current batch of 4 allied races that are on 7.3.5 for Battle for Azeroth release, or for later, like for an 8.0 pre-patch or something. But my thought is the only reason we're seeing such complete options, we have like a full package here. We've got UI, we have voiceover, we have customization, we've got models, we've got hair, we've got quest lines with voiceover and dialogue and all of this stuff going on. And 7.3.5 also adds the new leveling flow. Like, my thought is that the reason you rush all that stuff into 7.3.5 rather than like not doing the allied races stuff and holding off for 8.0 is that you want them to be available for pre-order. And that's my prediction. January 16th, 7.3.5, Argus on LFR. Everybody gets the wound, and everybody can pre-order Battle for Azeroth. And if you do, good, great. Here's your allied race access. Go do those quests, get those achievos, and go level your new tunes. Enjoy the gap until Battle for Azeroth. That's it for the video here today. Please feel free to give me a like, comment, and subscribe if you liked what you saw here, or even if you didn't like it, and you just like to subscribe to be contrarian, that's cool. I welcome any and all subs of that sort. I am streaming 6 nights a week on twitch.tv/KaleRien. That's usually Monday through Saturday, starting around 6 p.m. Pacific time. Saturday's a little earlier at 2 p.m. Lastly, second to lastly, I have a blog over at kalerien.wordpress.com. Had a fun piece this week go up about the casual versus hardcore debate during Wrath of the Lich King. Also had an interesting piece this week about an alternate universe Warlords of Draenor expansion, talking about some of the cut content from that, so that's pretty cool, I think, personally. And lastly, if you'd like to check out what I've got to say in short form, I have a Twitter, and that handle is @KaleRien. Thanks again so much for watching, and until next time, take care, and I'll see you then.
Thank you.